The cops in Payday 3 just can't seem to catch a break. They got buffed to high heaven in Update 14, with most specials receiving sizable improvements to their unique abilities, whilst flooding the map more in higher numbers, yet they still don't have it in them to finish off a poor lone Dallas, thanks to his nifty new armor system. So, I've already somewhat covered this topic in my Armour 2.0 guide, showcasing the 5 armor types I believe to be most relevant to the meta, and explaining how the system now functions. I'm pretty proud of that video given the little time I had to whip it together before embargo day, so check it out if you need a refresher on how the system works. But essentially, I conclude you'll get a lot of joy out of a 3-plate smoke build thanks to its passive, any of the single plates given how easy they are to use, and at the top end, a 4-plate impact and resistant mix, with the resistant plate there to protect your health pool via hardy, whilst the impact plates provide a constant source of damage absorption across a heist, bolstered by the fact a single armor repair kit restores all 4 plates in one go, no matter what, giving you what is effectively cyclable armor that never truly breaks. In truth, I thought that might be the entire game solved, but in the community's defense, within just hours of the update going live to all, I was already seeing dozens of armor combinations online, all seemingly as viable as the next, with some genuine thought going into their creation. I think that's where Armour 2.0 has truly succeeded. It forces players to actually consider the intricacies of their builds, adding a ton of variety to the game that I'm hoping they can build on across the Skills 2.0 update. However, on this channel, we like optimizing the fun out of games, I mean showcasing the best of the best. With that in mind, I'm almost certain the impact plate armor repair kit functionality will one day be patched, and I do have to admit, when playing online and sharing resources, it does feel a little neutered as you don't have an endless supply of kits to hog. Which had me back at the drawing board to put together something truly devious, and, as it turns out, the answer has been in front of us from the very start. That's right baby, 4 blue plates are back and better than ever before. Heading into this nifty new UI element for building out armor sets, I equipped the mercenary frame simply with 4 resistant plates. No fuss, just completely self-sustaining damage reduction that takes the cops an age to break through. In exchange for just a little movement speed and a consumable slot, you will receive 4 entire bars of 60% damage resistant armor, each regenerating in just 4 seconds, and not removing a single down from your counter. This means we have everything we need to also look towards a full fortitude setup, maximizing your health, in addition to rocking the hardest to break armor in the game. That's because, although it looks like the perfect launchpad for an armor bag focused build, this frame setup is actually a pure health facilitator in disguise. You see, those first 3 plates are there mostly for decorative purposes, maybe to catch a sniper shot or two and work through the first few minutes of the heist unscathed, before the real power of the build rises to the surface. When we get down to brass tacks, this is, in fact, a single plate adrenaline build in disguise, gaining access to what I believe is a superior passive in the form of plate regeneration upon kill, whilst also activating the now immensely buffed Assassin's Metal skill, allowing us to heal up and survive almost any onslaught. Here is the complete build as I'm running it, with highlights including the few armor skills required to keep protecting your health pool whenever possible, a chunk of fortitude skills to get the most out of our excessive number of downs, as well as threat assessment for even more damage reduction when grit is active. You'll notice the absence of usually pivotal skills in the medic line and equipment bolstering skills like deep pockets and stockpile. These just aren't necessary outside of situations where you're running in a team that needs additional support. You're tanky enough to get any revive in safely, and really shouldn't need more than 2 charges of a medic bag to stay afloat. I'll also note that I'm not running my usual trading skills, as they simply don't feel as necessary now, thanks to the increased dozer and techie spawns consistently dropping ARKs. Not to mention, it's very rare when playing online that at least one player isn't running manipulator skills, they're just so highly valued by the community, so you can lean on that meta expectation and get even greedier with your skill selection. Skills like the recently buffed Pain Amps Embolia, activating 40% damage reduction for your adrenaline bar, in addition to all the resistance provided by Grit and the 60% DR passively granted to the resistant plates. The long and short of it is, you'll always have a method at your disposal to keep yourself afloat. whether that's building up a wall of adrenaline, maintaining your single armor plate with hardy and clean slate, or killing marked cops to stay alive thanks to Assassin's Metal. There's always something you can do. If that wasn't enough invincibility for you though, this build also runs replenishable smoke grenades with Scrounger to not only mark cops but also make you even harder to hit, in addition to the Sociopath overskill for what amounts to a pocket oh shit button, great for replenishing your adrenaline bar or clearing large groups. If by some chance you don't own Jacket, the Argus minigun is also a great shout for even more damage resistance, as if we didn't have enough already. Finally, the Trip Laser is an extra tool for marking that really excels on choke point heavy heists, granting even more sources of healing and threat assessment applications. Oh, and although I'm barely specialised in it, I always have a medic bag to fall back on if I do somehow go down, or I'm just in need of extra healing. It goes to show just how sustainable the new armour types are, that deployables are almost falling out of the build meta in favour of those more luxury skills. As for weapons, I don't think it's even worth being prescriptive anymore when putting together a build. I now like to switch it up as much as possible. I'm running the FSA shotgun in most of this gameplay, comfortably still the most powerful weapon in the game, just to accentuate how strong the armor setup is. But just about any weapon should do the job with this sheer volume of damage reduction. The shotguns are obviously completely overpowered when compared to most other options in the game, but I've also had some decent success running high damage SMGs such as the Ziv Commando. The same goes for your secondary slot. With their newfound prevalence, I like to have a decent option up against snipers, and you can't go wrong with a jackknife, but feel free to rock the newly added Judge if you're more interested in just enjoying the recently added content and not optimizing the build. Which, if we're being honest, whilst antithetical to these sorts of videos, is exactly how you should be approaching all of the Update 14 content. Almost everything is viable at the moment, as even adaptive plates, which ran the risk of becoming obsolete after impact plates were added to the game, remain an incredibly fun way to facilitate an aggressive kill-to-survive playstyle that still matches up fairly well into the dreaded triple dozers. However, that doesn't mean it isn't enjoyable to be an absolute force of nature from time to time in this game, and the classic 4 blue plate setup is just one of a few ways of doing that right now. You can't mess with perfection, and I truly don't believe there is a setup out there at the moment that's as effective whilst retaining a relatively forgiving skill floor to operate. No ARK gimmicks, no reliance on kills with grit, no risk of being run over by snipers or dozers. Just the purest form of a truly tanky setup that felt missing from this game at launch. Doubling down on health and armor wasn't really possible prior to the Armour 2.0 update, making this even more unique. All things considered, the only thing likely to have a chance at taking you down will be the Cloaker, but with a half-decent team and awareness, they should also be just as avoidable. Now, some of you might be thinking that the only reason this all looks so easy is that they also buff the crew AI to balance things out, which is why I've finally installed Metroline's No Team AI mod to confirm that even with those lads turned off, all heists on the hardest difficulty are absolutely still soloable. Hell, I was finishing heists without even getting down to 1 plate naturally, which means half my key skills were turned off without ever being in any danger of hitting the deck. That's just a result of the pure resiliency of these new blue plates. And don't even get me started on the Sociopath now. With Pain Assembolier active once you start overhealing with the bat, you'll take such little damage to your overkill bar, you'll be free to rampage for as long as they keep sending cops your way, which is quite some time after SWAT density was massively upped as of the last patch. You can even tank up sniper shots now and not immediately lose your rampage. Again, I don't see this armor type being nerfed significantly, outside of potentially shaving off some of that massive 60% damage reduction, meaning this build should be fairly future-proofed, unlike the impact plates, which I do see receiving a passive nerf in the future patch. Anyway, that's just a quick, by my standards at least, overview of the simple setup I've been running lately to virtually guarantee success in Payday 3's Loud Heist after the patch. I'll be honest, I've enjoyed Update 14 a hell of a lot more than I initially expected, and whilst I still believe the Party Powder heist was held back by its limited design scope and innovation, the overall impact of the changes to the game have been a far greater net positive than anyone could have foreseen. I'm happy to see people online enjoying the game somewhat, and I'm now even more excited about the potential of Skills 2.0. Remember, it's virtually a skeleton crew working on this game. I saw an ArtStation post the other day confirming the impressive feat that Party Powder was put together aesthetically by a team of just 2 level artists, if you want some perspective of just how small we're talking. So if they're managing this much with such stringent shackles placed upon them, who knows what can be achieved if the new CEO follows through on his Payday forward focus and sends some much needed resources their way. That's enough hopium for one day though. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by leaving a like or a comment. Check out my Payday player machines over at Apex Gaming PCs if you're in the market for a new computer to game on, and I'll see you later this week for a very special, somewhat Nintendo themed video. Have a guess what that could possibly mean. A huge thank you to my dedicated Patreon backers. If you want to join this crew in going infamous, check out the link below and pledge as little as $2 to see your name in the credits, or get 24-hour early access to future videos and vote on upcoming content. Take care, I'll see you all soon.